Y'all crazy.
Hey, tell them to play the Wild Wild
Wild Wild West.
Play the Wild Wild West song for me.
Oh, y'all crazy.
James used to go back up there for the Calgary Stampede just so he could put on his Wild Wild West outfit.
Hey, they named a bar after him.
They sure did.
But this is like our first time to do what's called the Legacy of Hall of Fame, Canadian Football League Hall of Fame guys. And this is my first time getting on here, although I've interviewed a lot of guys who are in the Hall of Fame and also some coaches and people that played in the CFL. And I want John to continue with this conversation, but I want to introduce them as well, first of all, as we start. And that's John Hufnagle and my friend Damon Allen. I played with John Hufnagle before, played against him for a moment, but I played against my whole career against Damon. I hated playing against that joker. His body going one way or another. His torso going one direction and his lower body going the other. And I like, which area do you hit? You know. But anyway, welcome on aboard, man. I'm glad y'all here with me in this initial presentation of the Canadian Football League Hall of Fame legacy guys. So thank you. Thank you for getting on.
Man, thank you.
Thank you for the invite, James.
We were supposed to have Warren Moon on here, but I don't know if somebody's hacked into his account. But I got several emails pertaining to he's going to jump on and this and that. But the latest one, I haven't heard any information because it's recently as last night. It was a message said send him the link, and that's what I did. And then I sent another one that said we'll get on in the next 3 hours. I haven't heard a response, so I'm all right with you guys. But the good thing about it is, though, I know all three of you, and pretty much I have not got on the Zoom call yet with some iconic figures that, you know, you probably didn't think you know, but I do know those people too as well. And I'm pretty much got a signal back in terms of what it looks like when I interview guys that I don't know because they were here before we were. So if I've said all that, and I hope you can remember now what Damon asked you and you was getting ready to respond, and then I interrupted you. I just wanted to welcome if anybody when they get a chance to see that doesn't know how we started.
That's pretty cool to get a defensive player interviewing, you know, two former quarterbacks and offensive, you know, gurus or whatever sitting there talking to. You trying to learn some more information on offense, man? What are you trying to do over there?
Hey, you know what's funny about that? I always wanted to be a quarterback. Like all of my best friends have quarterbacks. I mean, like Danny Bird is my boy. I mean, Shucks. I mean, like, pretty much you. I can go down the list about quarterbacks. It's always been like really connected to quarterbacks some kind of way.
Your fingers are too thick. Your fingers are too
real. You're too ugly. But listen, Damon, do you remember what you said, what you asked him? Well, I think what you were pretty much suggesting or how beneficial it was for you to be connected with him. And then that's when I interrupted the response in terms of what you were saying back to John.
No, I think a lot of times, I mean, sometimes you don't get the opportunity. Like this is my opportunity to really, praise Huff and what he's been doing and such an offensive mind that I've learned from over the years and the success he's having. And that has a lot to do with, just like Huff, giving back and, like I said, so for my opportunity, being coached by Huff, been coached by Jackie Parker was my first coach from Ronnie Lancaster on the Pow Pows, the guys that played the game. Like you have to understand, when I first came in the league, it was the Huffs and the Tommy Clemens and the who else? J.C. Watts and Conrich Holloway. What I sat back and watched. My first offensive series when Winnipeg, when Huff and Tommy Clemens was in Winnipeg, they were running the search series. That's what I had to learn. I watched nothing but film on Huff and Tommy Clemens on the search series because that's what they were implementing over there in Edmonton, my first year in the league. So, with the Huff, with the search series, you have to be able to slide, read, and then drop back. And so it's those things you learn. And you got to be ready to throw that slot, the hot read along with the back going in the flat. So you have to read the Mac linebacker or the Sam and try to slip it in there before that little area there. So it's pretty neat to be able to talk to Huff and hear the things that, the life lessons that you learned as well.
Right. Well, first of all, when you were watching that film way back when, I think it was 8mm film.
Absolutely.
It was a lot harder to watch and splice and so on and so
Yes.
forth. It's not as easy as it is today to go back and review things.
Right.
But I appreciate all the nice things you said, Damon. As a coach, you really, really appreciate to help a player be prepared and see preparation pay off on the football field. Because there's every position you need to be prepared, but especially the quarterback position, just because there's so much knowledge that you need, and to have that knowledge at game time, it's a full week long preparation. It's just not, hey, I'm waking up, I'm going to look at a few sheets of plays and go out and play football. You have to know exactly what you need to do in any type of situation. What's up? What are you going to say, Jen?
Look who's on.
Oh. Hello, Mr. Moon.
Good morning.
Moonshine.
What's going on, Damon?
Hey, man,
you got a grandpa beard and everything, don't you?
Oh man, that COVID out here, man. They should lock down.
COVID don't stop you from shaving, brother.
No, I know. Hey,
You've been doing it for a while, though.
How you guys doing? James West, look at you, man. You look like you can still come off that edge. I bet you can.
Boy.
You can come off that edge. You can come off that edge.
West,
You can't catch me.
Hey, Wes, it is the real Warren Moon. It's not a fake account. It is the real Warren Moon.
This morning.
Hey, let me just say this last before I get Huff back to start, man, because we just started a few minutes ago. We got time. As a matter of fact, I'm on all of y'all time. Y'all got to jump off of whatever the case may be. I'm just glad you're here. We thought your email got hacked because I kept getting information. The thing said, call. I said, man, somebody hacked into Warren's account, and they over there playing with me. I'm going to slap somebody, whoever I find out who that is. But eventually you jumped on, man. I thank you for joining us, man. It's a pleasure to see you. Because let me tell y'all this right quick, Damon, you and John. It's like when Damon when Warren first came to Houston to play with the Oilers, I suggested he come to Houston. He know that, because when he came to town, I carte blanched him. We roll around town and this and that. And then he meets my neighbor, Clyde Drexler, my homeboy who played my basketball with my brother, and I was done. Like, after them two got together, it was all, I didn't see Warren no more. As a matter of fact, I probably haven't seen Warren since the last time him and Clyde been together.
Man, Clyde was playing in Portland when I got there. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but he still lived in Houston quite a bit, but he was there. Y'all hung out quite a bit, too.
No, you was always up in Canada when I was down there in Houston, see?
Yeah, that's true. I'm really glad you came there, man. I just thought that was really cool for you to come to that city, man. It altered the whole experience about, what was happening there in the state of Houston, though.
Yeah.
But anyway, but anyway, John, once you go back, can you finish up what you were saying? Damon asked him again. Let's start over right quick. Damon, can you ask him what he was getting to respond to, and we'll go from there?
Well, no, I was saying that when I was saying those things about Huff, it had a lot to do with his experience as a quarterback, his experience as a coach, and working with him, and just from outside looking in, the incredible knowledge that he has of playing the position and coaching the position. And like I said, the experience I had with Huff was with the BC Lions. We're somewhat in a rut, and they brought Huff in to counsel the offense. And, with that, we went on like an 8-game winning streak and, brought in the right players. But it was just, his ability to know offense and how to play the game and to, dissect defenses and things like that I really had a great appreciation. I learned a lot during that time, dealing with a former player, a quarterback that you can relate to. And, it's probably the same, for Warren too. And I think everyone would have those stories about, learning from other coaches and the different coaches that, you can add to your toolbox. And so that's basically what I was saying. Just, just thanking Huff for, what he's done for me as a player.
I'm trying to tell you what Huff is going to say first before he responded. Damon, he's going to tell you about all the great times that he beat y'all, Warren.
Hey, the only thing I want to say about what Damon's saying is I'm just very, very pleased that I didn't screw him up. You know, that's the biggest thing. Don't screw them up. Let their natural ability play the game, you know, but give them some direction. And that's what, again, what I think my responsibility when I was a coach, you give him good direction, and hopefully he prepared himself and he understands the need for that preparation and go out and have fun. You know, the game's still fun. You know, and obviously, the more prepared you are, the better you're gonna play. You're gonna win more, and you're gonna have more fun when you win.
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
I do want to say this. I mean, you know, when I coached Damon, he was saying I was a consultant, which I was. So it was a very, very unusual situation because I, at the time, was coaching in arena ball. I was a coach of the New Jersey Red Dogs, and our season's over at the end of August or toward the end of August. And so BC flew me up and wanted me to consult for 2 weeks, which I did, but then they wanted me to continue on. And I said, no, I can't. I got my job back there. So they flew me in for the game, and I would be watching film through the week. They'd send me the film. I'd help the coaches make up the game plan, and then I'd fly into the game and call the plays. But what's very unique, Joe Pau was the offensive coordinator at that time.
That's right.
And Joe and I were great friends, as all quarterbacks should be.
Right.
And it was, you know, it was just an unusual situation. It could have been a very, very difficult situation, but the players that were in the quarterback room and Joe and I, we melded and, like Damon said, had some good success. We didn't win it all, and when you don't win it all, there's always disappointment, but we had fun. We made sure, Joe and I made sure the quarterbacks understood what it was, how it was going to be done. Joe did an excellent job of getting the quarterbacks ready for the game, teach them the game plan, teach them during practice, and then I came up and called the plays. So it was a unique experience, one that I really enjoyed. I believe, Damon, the other quarterback in the room was Kahari Jones.
Kahari Jones, that's right.
That's right.
Hey, let me go here to Warren first, because what I'm trying to understand, because what you and Damon just expressed is over and over again, you give us guys something and they need to address it and then they need to operate on it. Okay, you plan, you plan and then you execute. Okay. But for Warren, they kept doing the same thing like over and over again. I like, how you gonna win like 5 years in a row? You ain't doing but a search series the whole game, and y'all winning for like 5 years in a row with the same offense for 5 years in a row. How do y'all do that, Warren? I'm serious.
You know, it was just a combination of great leadership by our head coach and Hugh Campbell. He picked really good players as far as guys who would mesh together. We had great leadership on our football team. And we had great skill set as well. So I think the biggest reason we were so successful was our Canadian players. We had really good Canadian players on our team. We could go with an all-Canadian line, which most teams couldn't do that. We had really good outside linebackers that were Canadians, like Tommy Towns and Dale Potter. These guys were all CFL players. So our Canadians were really good players to go along with our skilled guys from the United States. And you combine all that together with the leadership, and then we had, myself and Tom Wilkinson, two good quarterbacks who had totally different styles, that people had to get ready for two different total styles when they played against us, and you just couldn't do it because you didn't have enough time in a week to get ready for both of us. So the combination of all those things and us being able to keep that group together for such a long time is the reason why we had so much success, I think.
Man, I'm looking at you, man. I can't stand you the way you look, dude. You ain't aged a beat, man. You got them glasses on, bro. I can't stand you, bro. I'm telling
you. That's what plastic surgery and makeup does.
I don't got no Hey, let me ask you this, though. You talked about offensive linemen. I thought a lot of those offensive linemen The lineman that you played with, I thought that whole line deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. But I only know one. I think Rod Skillman is the only one. What's his name? Who's the only lineman that's in the Hall of Fame?
There's Rockenamp. I think the biggest, and Rudy Phillips played with me, but as far as
but he didn't play with Warren. That was there.
Yeah, Rod was a young guy when he was backup when I was there. I think Rod might have started my last year at center, but we had Hector Pothier and Ted Milligan and Eric Upton and Bill Stevenson. All those guys were really, really good players.
Stevenson, I hated to play against.
Yeah, he was nasty.
I hated them dudes, man.
He was nasty, man. He was one of those guys who would knock you down and dive on top of you. And Hector had
I got to tell you this one time on that, because I really want y'all to express everything y'all want to talk about. But when I was with Calgary that year, I was playing in Calgary, and our defensive coordinator wanted me to rush like Quick Parker, and he used to jump across and he club and rip. Man, I messed around and jumped in that game and club and rip. And as soon as I tried to rip, Heck Potty punched me right in the face. Boom! I ain't never doing that no more. I'm gonna fly off the ball and do what I do. Ain't gonna never get punched like that no more. Man, I ain't doing that no more. He literally told me I had to rush like Quick Park. Man, you lost your mind. Anyway.
Well, let me say this about John. First of all, I go all the way back with John when he was at Penn State playing quarterback.
Yes.
I watched him play and really admired him as a young high school guy, watching him play college football, because I always wanted to go to a big-time college like that and throw the football. And then the next time I encountered John was when I came to Canada after my college career was over, because I didn't know what happened to him after that. And then next thing you know, I'm lining up on the other side of him, and he's in Calgary, and we're playing in those legendary Labor Day games. And John said we should all be friends. Well, I hated John back then when he was a Calgary Stampeder, because we were supposed to hate Calgary Stampeders. But I definitely respected his game. And Joe Powell, you guys were talking about. I played against Joe when he was at BC, and we had some great battles together. So all these guys who we're talking about today, I not only had an experience playing against them, but also coached against them at one point, and Damon got a chance to get some of that tutelage from him as well, and I'm sure that's what helped his career take off. But people just don't know about the CFL and everything that it has to offer, especially to players from the United States, and not only the football side of it, but what it can do for you for your life afterwards. Like Damon's made a life up there in Canada, and the Canadian people, just in general, are just some of the most warmest people I've ever been around. And I always say that there was a time I wasn't going to leave Canada. I was going to stay up there and play my whole career just because I was enjoying it that much. But I just had those other goals in my mind. It was always a curiosity in the back of my mind. How good can I be? Can I play with these guys down the NFL? That was the big thing that kept driving me. But as far as being able to play in a place and really enjoy it, I loved playing in Edmonton. I loved playing in the Canadian Football League, and loved the relationships that I made with guys like yourselves.
And it goes back to what I said before. You enjoyed it so much because you always won.
That helps. That definitely helps. There's no question about it.
I mean, in the late 70s, Calgary had good football teams, but we just couldn't get over the hump. We couldn't beat Edmonton to get past the playoffs. I think both in 78 and 79, we lost the finals up there in Edmonton.
Yeah.
And like you said before, we were the Battle of Alberta. Boy, I didn't like losing to you guys.
And we didn't like losing to you either. And that happened every now and then. But when it counted, we won those games. But, I remember going to Calgary on Labor Day. And in the middle of the night, people are pulling our fire alarms so we can't sleep at night. People out in the street honking their horns, doing anything they can to keep us up and not let us get any rest the night before the game. And that just pissed us off even more. We wanted to go out there and win that much more because of all that type of stuff happened. But that's the kind of rivalry it was. I loved it, and I hadn't been involved in anything like that. Even in college, playing against Washington State, our rivalry wasn't anything like what it was with Calgary and Edmonton.
Right. Hey, I would like to ask Huff about his relationship when you went to Winnipeg with Tommy Clemens. You give us a little bit about that relationship with you and Tommy in Winnipeg.
Okay, first of all, Tommy and I grew up about 5 miles apart.
Wow,
Okay.
really?
But we went to different high schools. So I'm from Coriopolis, which is, but not in the little town of Coriopolis. I'm out in the country. And Tom's address was McKees Rocks, which is the neighboring little town. So Tom's a couple years younger than I. Tom was all superior athlete growing up to most kids. So we would hook up a lot on the playground, either on playing football, basketball. So I had a relationship with Tom before getting to Winnipeg.
Okay, that's cool.
And we were friends. And when I got to Winnipeg, it was known he was a starter. I was there. I got traded because he got hurt. And after that year, Cal kept me. You know, it was noted that if he's healthy, he's playing.
Right.
Fortunately, depending on who you're talking about, he got dinged a few times, which allowed me to get some good play time in Winnipeg. But Tom and I lived together during the season when we were in Winnipeg, so it was an easy relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Being humble right now, because in '87 he was an all-star when Tom got hurt, so he didn't mention that part. You know, that was one of our greatest teams, to be honest with you. That was '87, wasn't it, when Tom got hurt for most of the season?
No, I know. I came in the league in '85, and I think that's when I seen the duel. But I wasn't sure if it was. It had to be in my first 4 years.
I think it was. Wasn't that '87 though, when you played for the majority of the season though, John?
Say it again, James.
Like the majority of the season when Tom got hurt. What season was that? Was that '87?
It might be
That was
87.
'86.
My last year was '86 in Winnipeg.
It was '86 then, yeah, because you
So
played
86.
the majority of that season. As a matter of fact, you were all-star that year. Do you remember that? Bro, I'm looking, I thought I had Alzheimer's. Boy, you got
I remember we had an all-star game one time.
Yes.
That was '88.
It was played.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So I
also,
thought you were a all-star. I thought you was the Eastern. I thought you was the Eastern well, maybe you were not. I forgot Warren still.
We had an all-star game the year I left in '83 in BC.
Yeah, I was on that. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
And
Hey, can I ask another question?
Yeah,
This is
go ahead.
for Moon.
Yeah.
Moon, your last year in '83, and then you start to make the transition to the National Football League. Was Hugh Campbell already there in Houston, or give us the how did that go about? Like, how did you choose Houston, and who were the other national football teams you were dealing with before you was like Houston like the ace in the hole? You know, you had an ace in your back pocket, that you knew you can go there because Hugh Campbell was there? Or
No, it's because I told him to come.
Give
us that idea.
To tell you the truth, Damon, there's a backstory to all of that. When my second to last year, when I was in Edmonton, I was trying to get out of my contract then, and I couldn't. But during that time when I was trying to negotiate to get out of it, Houston secretly flew me down to Houston, me and my wife, and gave us a tour of the facility. They took us to dinner, put us back in this private room where nobody knew I was in town. We were there for maybe, I don't even think 24 hours, but flew into Houston and flew back out. And that was all just to kind of introduce me to the owner, introduce me to the general manager, and let me see what things look like there, just in case I was able to get out of my deal. Finally, I couldn't get out. We negotiated I could get out the next year, and that's when I finally was able to get out, because I still had, I think, 2 years left on that deal, but I was able to negotiate myself out of it.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I knew that.
But
you were glad it was gone.
I went to Houston. I went to Houston mainly because I wanted to go to Seattle, to tell you the truth, because that's where Chuck Knox was there. They had a really good team. I was living in Seattle at the time in the off season. That was my off season home. I went to school there at the University of Washington, so my wife loved it there as well. But they wouldn't structure my deal the way I wanted it financially. So Houston was, and then they ended up signing Hugh Campbell like a few months before that. So that kind of sealed the deal that I'm going to go somewhere where I'm getting the money that I want and the way I want it. And I'm also getting the head coach that knows me, and we've had history together. So those were the two reasons why I went to Houston.
And the offense that you guys are running, was that very similar? I mean, were you guys, did you guys run
the offense I didn't like at all. I didn't like the
coordinator, Warren?
They were,
Who was your offensive coordinator?
A guy by the name of Kay Dalton.
Okay.
He had been with the Redskins, the Washington Redskins, for many years, and he was running that Redskins type of offense. And they ran the ball a lot, and we had Earl Campbell at the time, so they were going to try and feature Earl as much as they could, but it didn't play into my skill set at all. You know, I was basically asked to throw the ball on 3rd and 7. You know, there was no ingenuity to the offense at all. You know, just run, pass, and so I didn't like that at all. So they eventually changed coordinators.
So when you threw the prettiest ball I ever seen, though, really.
Oh,
I think everybody else was successful. Say, I ain't never seen you throw a wobbly ball.
Man, you know what? If I threw a wobble, I'd look at the ball and say, "There's got to be something wrong with this ball." I would throw it up in the air and spin it to see if it wasn't warped or not. I say, "It can't be me."
Hey, I have a question. Us being ex-quarterbacks, sorry, James, you're not in the club, but that's
I'm just listening.
You know,
what's your opinion of Patrick
Mahomes?
What's your opinion of him?
Man, he is a really gifted kid, you know, as far as how he can throw the ball from so many different types of angles, so many different types of launch points. His feet don't have to be right. He can be backing up and throw, and he does it with velocity and accuracy at the same time. Now, he gets away with a lot of stuff. He's throwing some balls that probably should have been picked off, but he takes those chances, and that's something that I watched him when he was at Texas Tech for 2 years. So I had a chance to see him develop and not be such a wild child. Andy Reid has done a great job with him as far as corralling that talent and helping his fundamentals and his footwork as much as you can see that I don't know if you can see that they've been helped, but they have been helped a whole lot because he was much more unsound than what he is right now. But I love his aggressiveness. I love his cool under pressure. I mean, he plays his best football when they're behind in football games. And I'm sure that's because he was used to doing that at Texas Tech.
You're right.
Now he's got a team good enough to help him come from behind and win these football games, where at Texas Tech, it was basically him trying to do it all by himself. So I love the kid, and I love his demeanor. I mean, I've had a chance to meet him and meet his mom. Comes from a great family. All the way around, he's a good kid.
Hey, before Damon responds, I know let me say this first, Damon, because I know you want to respond. But I had already broke this down prior to say if any quarterback I think could compare to you and would be kind of like you would be him. You know, because y'all didn't have like sprinter speed and all that sort of thing, but you got the ball, you know, the where it needed to be most of the time. I ain't never seen you throw a ball that you look at one way and you throwing it back the other one, look like Magic Johnson doing some type of stuff like that sort of stuff. But I compared him as the quarterback.
I only did those in practice. I didn't have the guts to do it in a game. He has the guts to do it in a game.
Yeah.
So go ahead, old Damon.
No, so I just think that when you look at he's a really good athlete. When you look at the throwing motion that he has, the most, because he played baseball and I was a baseball player, so we can drop down and throw, sidearm, all those things is very easy for him. But I think what their offense is built around his ability and his skill set, and I think with the talent that he has. The more you watch Kansas City, I always say that, man, they are using more CFL concepts,
aren't they?
Yeah.
Than any other team in the National Football League, and you're starting to see those CFL concepts in a lot of these different teams. Like you know, when Washington Redskins came out, when they started running the pistol, and you know those kind of things that Calgary started doing early 5 years prior to that, and you're starting to see these kind of different concepts. But I think when it comes down to, you know, they look at his skill set, they try to build a system around what he can do, and he can get the ball out quick. He can buy time. I mean, and like I said, they're based on speed, like the old day Raiders used to have. Like, we throwing the ball down the field, and that's how they're punishing teams, with his ability to throw the football a long ways, difficult situations. And, you know, could they lost that Super Bowl last year? Yes, the Rams, you know, should have won that Super Bowl. But the fact that, you know, the 49ers should have won that Super Bowl. But at the end of the day, is like his skill set, man. Like I said, that different generation, they continue to learn. And he was winning. Well, he won the MOP, and he said he didn't know what he was doing offensively.
Yeah.
And he's still learning.
That's scary.
That makes it even more scary.
Right. You know, it is.
Go ahead. I want you to say.
You got a great talent. You got a great offensive system that just invites his talent to blossom. You know, and speed galore, right? And what else do you want? I mean, heck. 2 of their offensive linemen didn't even show up for camp. The one is being a doctor up in Montreal, where by the way, I drafted him.
Did you?
But you know, it's just a perfect marriage. It's a joy to watch. And like you said, Damon, you know, they're using so much more motion now and defenses can't figure it out. It's a lot harder to defend that type of motion with the left. It's a lot easier with 12 guys because you can set the edge both sides.
Right.
But you can't do that down there, and they're having a blast with it.
You know, I think a lot of times too is like Warren, like for example, like, you know, what Russell Wilson do very well in their offense. And I mean, you can look at a different quarterback and say, well, how well Russell Wilson would be in the Kansas City offense. I mean, they'll be just as devastating and dangerous.
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with young quarterbacks is what they're surrounded with. You got to have good players around you, or you're not going to be that great. And one of the other luxuries that Patrick had is he didn't have to play his first year. He sat behind Alex Smith and watched it learn from him every day and got to practice with no pressure on himself. They let him play in the last game of the season just to see what he could do. And then he took over the next year after having another whole offseason together with his team. So he got the perfect start into the league with like John said, the perfect coach, the perfect players around him, and he didn't have to come in day one and carry the franchise. He got a chance to sit back and relax and check out how it's done. And then once he got the reins, he took off with them.
Yes.
Would that be kind of a variable, Warren, when y'all start doing a run and shoot thing? Did you enjoy? It looked like you enjoyed that offense, you know, there. When
CFL football.
Yeah, that was more of my alley, man. Throwing the ball all around the world. But the only thing I didn't like about it is we didn't have a tight end on our roster. It was all wide receivers. So like at the end of a game, you couldn't really run the clock out. You know, you couldn't go to a 4-minute offense or something like that. You had to keep throwing it. And if you threw it and it was incomplete or something,
Stop the clock.
You always gave teams a chance to get back into the game if you weren't spot on. And then we also had, like when John talked about being able to set the edge, we had short edges because we didn't have no tight end on either side. So those defensive ends and those nickels were coming full speed on the outside on some of those blitzes. And I got the ball away a lot of times, but I took some hell of a shots as I was letting the ball go. So it takes its toll on your body too.
And they were allowed to hit you a lot more.
More.
Right.
Drive you to the turf and fall on top of you and all of that. They didn't care about any of that stuff.
Yeah, then the games now, well, you can barely touch a quarterback now. So
man, you see that game the other day with Tom Brady and Mahomes? They called 3 roughing the passers within like 5 minutes in the game. You know,
just a tap on the head,
grazing the head. The guy trying to block a pass, and then his hand comes off and grazes his helmet. Come on.
And when I played, man, I was getting speared, slide, all that stuff. Man. That's crazy.
Totally different.
Damon know him as buddy. Damon, I didn't tell you this before, but I met Damon before he came to the league. My agent was trying to get me to, decide to get him to be a representative for Damon. And I went on and took the Damon to the side like, don't get on when don't judge my age. But
so you guys
during the course of the time,
I have to get a charger, but just keep it going, okay?
Yeah, but primarily when I met Damon, I didn't know eventually he was going to come to the CFL because I thought he was going to play baseball initially and probably go through that avenue. Did even after your disconnect, because I hear you are playing in the Rose Bowl, back in the day, winning the championship there, and I just thought that would elevate to you being one of the top quarterbacks that got drafted. Can you speak to the power, what that looked like, and what you felt after that, not getting drafted?
I just felt like I put myself in a position to at least be considered for the draft, to be drafted as a quarterback. But what teams kept telling me in the NFL, well, they were going to change my position, and
wow,
I just couldn't fathom that. I'm looking at the other guys who are coming out of my same class. I mean, none of those guys did anything in the NFL. I think one of them was, what was the guy from Pitt? Golly, I can't. John, you might know who he is.
Dan?
No, not
Dan.
This was before Dan.
Oh.
What year was that?
It would have been 78.
78.
Ooh, man.
Then there was Rob Hurdle. Rob Hurdle was coming out of SC. He got drafted.
Rob Hurdle, yes, I remember that name.
Benjamin was coming out of Stanford. He got drafted, I think, in the second round by the 49ers. And then, of course, Doug Williams was the first quarterback that came out that year, and he should have been drafted in the top 5, but he didn't go until 13, and that was to John McKay, because John McKay had black quarterbacks at USC. And if John wouldn't have drafted him, who knows if he would have even went in the first round. And
Absolutely.
He was the best quarterback by far coming out in that draft. So, yeah, it was just weird to me that the teams were looking at me to play another position. I had never played anywhere else, and I wasn't that great an athlete where I could, play DB or play wide receiver or something like that. I was just a good athlete for playing quarterback. Well, that's why I decided to go to Canada, because they were going to give me a chance to play quarterback, and I was hurt by it all, but I mean, I just went with the opportunity that was given to me.
And I think we all have similar stories. I remember when I first watched you play in the Rose Bowl, and you won the Rose Bowl at the Washington Warren, and then you went on, and you kind of somewhat lose track of where you because you're not in the National Football League. And then it was in 1982. My brother went to the Raiders, and the NFL. They had the strike year.
Right.
And what you don't know is during the strike year, they start showing a lot of CFL teams.
Yeah, that's where
I was watching the Eskimos, and I started watching you play with the Eskimos while I'm at Cal State Fullerton. And then by the 1984, there was a scout, and my coach, Gene Murphy, told me my senior year. He said, this guy named Ray Newman's been watching you for 2 years since you was a sophomore, coming to your practices, and you're the property of the Edmonton Eskimos. So I'm sitting there going, Warren Moon's in Edmonton, they're winning the Grey Cups. I'm the property of the Edmonton Eskimos. And that's when I said, man, okay, that's the same guy I watched in Washington, knew about your career. And then it opened my eyes about, okay, I'm going to a good football team when I come out. And, that situation that it really came about was when Ray Newman said, we are the property. I got drafted by Detroit Tigers. The scout is arguing with, they're at the same field, arguing, having a damn near a fist fight over, you're doing this kid just this service. He should be a baseball player, and, back and forth. But eventually I chose football. And when I get there, I didn't know much about, Edmonton, didn't know none about Matt Dunnigan. And, he was an all-star by the time when I got up there.
He was my backup.
And so it's pretty neat how when you look at your story and you learn that you become a backup, and then you understand the role as a backup, and, how you got to be prepared to play. But that was the first start of it all, is when I first started watching you back in 1982, 83, watching the Eskimos because of the NFL strike that year. And that's when I realized it was another option for me to play quarterback, because the NFL did the same thing to me in the combine.
Yeah.
You know, I ran fast 40. I could throw the ball over the field, but, you know, I was probably 150 pounds. So they were concerned if I can handle the pounding of the National Football League. And that's why the CFL became the alley. But if it wasn't for you and watching you play and the success you have, I don't know if I would actually had my eyes open to the Canadian Football League.
Hey, let me go right here on this one. So I remember that game, though, because they played against us in that game when there was a strike. And I sat Warren and I stood over like, yeah, what you gonna do now? Warren used to talk some smack, though. People don't know that he talks smack. I like, yeah, what you gonna do now? And he looked at me and he said, man, act like you've been here before. I reached out to my hand to him. He didn't reach up. I was trying to pick him off the ground. He just pretty much just ignored me. I was like, oh, wait.
I ain't got no time for you, James. Yeah, those games really gave me a lot of exposure. It gave a lot of the players in Canada a lot of exposure just because we were on national television in the United States, and people started calling me after that. Hey, I saw you on television today or whatever. And that's when a lot of the scouts started to notice me as a player as well, because I think in '82, I think I threw for like 5,000 yards.
5,000.
Yeah, the first time.
Right on the nugget, you know, but we were throwing it all over the place by then. But you know, Damon, me and you go back a long way because I knew your brother so well. I recruited him to come up to the University of Washington. He didn't come, obviously, but that's where we first met, and then we became friends over the years when he was with the Raiders, and that's where I met you and all your other brothers. And so I knew that you were playing at Fullerton, followed your career, and then of course going on up to Canada and everything you did up there. So, you know, our relationship goes back a long way, and a lot of the things that happened to us were kind of parallel to the way things happened for us coming out. I didn't have the baseball option, but I know you knew what I was going through as far as them not thinking you're good enough to play quarterback, and it wasn't because of your size. Give me a break. It definitely didn't have anything to do with your size, you know.
Thank you for giving me a subway to this, though, John. I want y'all each individually at one time or another. Y'all can just tell me your journey from the start. Mine was horrible. I don't even want to talk about how mine started. But John, tell me why you chose to play football. Because Damon, like, I think he's the only other person that I know of that had options. But why did y'all choose to play football from the start?
You asked me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, high school, obviously. You know, I was a basketball player too. And I was just going to play basketball. And so
you can shoot the three ball? You can shoot the three ball? You can shoot the three ball the way they shoot now?
Hey, when they made that 3-point line, I became
They didn't have a 3-point line back then when we were playing, Damon.
Right.
I know, I'd go mess it up underneath there, and I had a nice jump shot. I was sweet. So, but so when I told my dad that I wasn't going out for the high school football team, he changed my mind quickly. And because I'd play football all the time in sandlot football, right? He knew that I'd game. It's just that I didn't think I was a good enough athlete to play both sports. And he says, he told me I wasn't real smart. Now get on the bus there and go to football practice. And so that's how I really got into the game. During high school, they would send the quarterbacks, or high school would send the quarterbacks to a quarterback camp up in Northwest Pennsylvania at a Boy Scout camp in the middle of the woods. And the Penn State coaching staff coached it. And they had quarterbacks and receivers there. And that's when I first met Joe Paterno and started a relationship with Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
I got to play quarterback at high school, went on to Penn State, and then went and played some pro football. So, really, really fortunate that all the great people that helped me out, starting with my dad and my high school coaches, they were very passionate about the game. I'll use that word all day long about the game of football or any sport, truthfully. You have to have the passion to
Yes.
be your best and do your best and let the chips fall. Just say you're doing your best.
Right. And you know what? You have become the best too, because now, you know, on this group right here is everybody who's going to be in the Canadian Football League Hall of Fame. And we're going to be a team of brothers for life now. We'll always be teammates. There's
Right.
a whole thing that looks like we'll be connected to each other for life. And historically, we'll be connected. So we all three of us, we embrace you, man, as you get ready to get inducted, man, and bless you for that.
Yes.
We'll be teammates again. And you're Warren. Y'all can express how y'all journey look like. Talk to me about that too as well. Any one of y'all.
Well, I'll start. I'll say that at an early age, you know, I was a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and the guy I ever seen was Joe Gilliam. The way he wore his socks, the way he threw the football, the smoothness, and how skinny he was as well. I mean, I always thought that, okay, this is my body type. So that was the first guy I seen. And then the second guy I seen, I mean, you know the history, because our family is somewhat of a historical buff, man. So we know our history, and we appreciate the history, and because a lot of ways it prepares you for where you are today and, you know, what kind of future you want to leave. And so, you know, from seeing Joe Gilliam from James Harris to Vince Evans to Warren Moon, and then you start to get a liking of Warren Moon, the way you played. I mean, so you know that I followed you in the University of Washington, went on the Canadian Football League, and then now you have your opportunity to, hey, these guys open the door for you. And so you can't lock the door on Damon Allen. And so I have to step in and be the person that, so I have a great appreciation for the guys who came before me. And so, and understanding the history really allowed me to choose. So at a very early age, I wanted to play baseball and football. And able to do that, I had to, you know, go from one sport to the next. And I always wanted to give myself options. So eventually, you know, from Little League, Pop Warner to high school to university, I played baseball at University of Cal State Fullerton, and that was the only school that allowed me to play two sports. Everybody else wanted me to play baseball or football. Many of the Pac-10 schools just wanted me to play baseball, and I wanted to play football, and so that's why I chose Cal State Fullerton, because that was the only school that said you can play both. And then from there, the fact that I became a middle reliever, I mean, and everybody who knows middle relievers, I mean, you sit in that dugout in the left field wall and you're sitting there waiting to get your name called and chewing bubblegum and playing all those games. I'm a type of guy that I like to participate. And the fact that you're a starting quarterback on the football team and a middle reliever, spot starter in baseball, I was an everyday player in football. And I think that's one of the reasons why, you know, I chose football, because, you know, I'm in it. I'm participating in it, you know, and I can make a difference on the field. And so I think that in that situation, that's why I chose football, even though, you know, I still love baseball, still watch it, and, you know, played at a high level, university, won a national championship. Football is because I was an everyday player and I participated. Like, it's like being picked up on a basketball court. You're the last one picked up. You know, I want to partake in what we're doing in that day. And so that's one of the reasons why I chose football.
Well, I would never express, because you talked about this several times when you said you was weighing like 150 pounds. I would have thought
No, I was really.
I was. So that would actually express what you wanted to do and how you wanted to do it and all that. And so, but now I'm just hearing this for the first time. Your family pretty much walked you through that too. So in terms of being, you know, vigilant about what you really believe and trust in. And so thank you for letting me know that at this point. More, why don't you tell your story, Warren?
Yeah, unlike Damon, who grew up with all brothers, I grew up with 6 sisters.
Right.
And my dad passed away when I was 7, so I was basically the man of the house as a young little lad, but I was also surrounded by all these women. So my mother got me involved in sports just to get me around other boys and to get me around other male role models, you know. So I played basketball, football, baseball, you know, starting from about nine years old all the way up through, played Pop Warner football, and that was the more organized of the sports that I played. And we had so much fun doing that and so much success Baseball was probably my best sport, believe it or not, as far as what I was the best at. Basketball was my favorite sport, but football was something that just kept coming back to me as being something I was really good at, and I enjoyed doing it because of the team concept of it, So I ended up choosing football when I went to high school, and I couldn't play another sport because I had to work in the off season at a part-time job just to keep money in my pocket and money to get to school, because I didn't go to high school in my area. I went to high school over in the west side of LA, where it was a little safer, and I had to take the city bus to school every day. So I needed money for stuff like that and just to help my mother out. So I chose football, and that's where my focus was. And I said, I'm either going to make it in this or I'm not going to make it at all. And really, I was just doing it just to get a scholarship so I could go to college.
Right.
Pro football wasn't something in my thinking. It was a dream, of course, as all of us have dreams. But my thing was, I knew I wouldn't be able to go to college unless I got an athletic scholarship, because I was a good student, but I wasn't a student where I was going to get an academic scholarship. But I knew I could probably get a college scholarship in sports to go to college. So that was kind of my thinking. But as you got better each level, you started thinking, okay, maybe there is a chance for me to go to the next level. Like when I was in high school, okay, maybe I do have a chance to get a scholarship in college. And then all of a sudden in college, like, okay, maybe I do have a chance to go play pro ball. So that's kind of how it worked out for me. So I put all my chips on the table in football and hoped that it would pay off, and it did. And when I went
it did. Boy,
I didn't
two
know
Hall of Fames.
I didn't know a whole lot about Canada when I first went up there. I knew it was there, but I also knew that like Condredge Holloway, somebody I had really followed in college football, had went up there. I knew Jimmy Jones from USC had went up there and had success. I knew John was up there. I also knew that Joe Theismann had gone up there years before that. So I knew a little bit about the league, but didn't know a ton about it until I went up there and visited Edmonton, and really enjoyed, like I said, my experience. I told you that earlier. So I'm just glad it was an option there for me. It was an option that if I didn't have that, who knows, I probably would have quit the game. I probably wouldn't have tried to switch positions and played in the NFL. I would have probably just quit playing football, and I was going to go to law school if I didn't continue playing football. So I'm glad that option was there, and I'll always be indebted to the Canadian people in the league for giving me that opportunity up there, because it set everything else in motion.
As a matter of fact, all you guys on this thing has been have iconic people. That's why y'all inducted to the Hall of Fame. And like Warren, you had like a cookie thing. Like, I mean, those cookies. I hope you still got them cookies around somewhere, because I come get them. It was good, bro. I'm telling you.
You don't know how many people ask me about those cookies, man.
Man, those cookies was good. I'm telling you, but
it was a good little business for a while. It was just
I was looking for
too much time.
Yeah. But it's incredible though. Some guys who are iconic in the game, sometimes they have no impact after the game. But you guys have all elevated yourself to something that's much more valuable outside the game than you played inside the game. I mean, what do y'all want to express when what's the benefit from playing football, and then you're more beneficial at the game? Can anyone of y'all express to me what that looks like for you now still?
Well, I can tell you just about the cookie recipe. I always had an entrepreneurial background as far as I wanted to start my own business. And I started baking cookies when I was in high school, because I used to get so nervous the night before my games. My mother taught me to bake to try and keep my mind off the game the next day. So every Thursday night before our game on Friday, I would bake cookies just to kind of get my mind off of the game. And I created this really good recipe that I just got better at over the years. And that's where the idea came. The idea came from, I don't know if you ever heard of Famous Amos back then.
Yes, absolutely.
And then also Mrs. Fields. They were huge in the United States, but they had nothing like that up in Canada. So I said, okay, why don't I take my recipe and their concept and started with my name up here in Canada. And that's kind of what I did with it. And it worked out well. I had 5 stores in Edmonton, and they were very successful.
Wow.
Yeah. You didn't know that?
No, I'm telling you, when I first came there, I was looking for those.
Well, I sold the business up there when I left and went to Houston, and I had 5 stores in Houston for about 4 years. And then it just got to be too much trying to run a business and be a quarterback in the NFL at the same time.
Right.
Yeah. But that's cool. Yeah,
But that was the most iconic thing.
I actually sold my franchises to Mrs. Fields.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about what you're doing and what have you overcome or whatever the case may be doing this time too. Like, I haven't seen you in years. I don't even know what's going on with you.
You know, I have a sports marketing business down in Irvine, California that
I told him
that I've had for about the last 11 years. I still have my foundation going, Crescent Moon Foundation, and then I do a lot of appearances and speaking and stuff like that. I was with the Seahawks. I did their broadcast for 15 years until I stopped doing that last year. So I've been doing a lot of things over the years, but you know, I'm almost up towards retirement age now, and I have a 14-year-old son who's in high school, and he's
14 now.
He's going to be in high school. Excuse me. And he's a pretty good little athlete. So I've been trying to guide his career because he's a heck of a football player. And then I've got 7 grandkids now that all live down in Texas.
Yeah, them girls.
So I go down to Houston a lot, and I'm going there for Christmas, and you're just watching all of them grow too. So I got a lot going on.
Hey, before I ask you about them again, right quick, down there in Southwest Houston, what's happening with the? Can you speak power to like the Crescent Moon organization? Tell me what that's about.
Well, I started that back in 1989.
Yeah, I know it's been around for a long
league,
time.
and basically it was to create educational opportunities for underprivileged high school kids. So we provided scholarships for underprivileged kids who had the grades to go to college but didn't have the economic means to go to college. And so every year we give out a certain number of scholarships depending on how much money we were able to raise through our fundraising. And it was a very successful program for a long time. And we just started.
Can you tell us before? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I just started a new program last year where we did with myself, Vince Young, Andre Ware, and Deshaun Watson. We all have Houston ties because we were all quarterbacks. So those 2 of them are from Houston, Andre and Vince, and then of course Deshaun plays there now, and I played there. And we all come from single mom homes. None of us grew up with dads. So we started a foundation called Brothers in Arms. And what we're doing is the same thing, raising money for kids that come from single family moms homes.
That's cool.
Giving them opportunities to go to college. And we started that last year. We gave out 5 scholarships last year, and we're going to build off of that each year after.
Well, that's good to know. I'm glad you expressed that. So once this gets released, because there's nobody on here but us, they'll know exactly what you're doing right now, and hopefully they can join in terms of that. Because my organization requires a fundraising too as well. So I think it's very beneficial to talk about the iconic stuff we do outside the game, more so the inside. So Damon, you or John, y'all can express too. John, you has become like a successful general manager, and he turned that team like upside down in Calgary when he came there. I mean, that team was like horrible. And now, like every year, it's already like we used to believe that before the season started in Winnipeg, not Calgary. But in Winnipeg, we know before the season started, we was at least going to make it to the playoffs. And so now they have that same feeling there in Calgary, which is
they're going
like
to break
that when they're there. So, and he a product of that. So I'm sure you got more stuff than that, but tell us about whatever you want to in terms of that expression.
Say it again, James.
You did a whole lot more stuff than we thought you would be doing just otherwise than playing football. So what are you doing much more after that game in terms of that?
What was I planning on doing after the game?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good response. Yeah.
Well, I always, obviously playing was the number one thing, but I always had an off-season job because I didn't want to rely on the game.
Right.
Okay. Didn't know. So I did a number of things. I was an underwriter for an insurance company, a general insurance company. I was a landman where I would go out to landowners and sign them up to mineral leases or oil leases or land easements for the oil company. I also did some real estate investing, flipping, buy a house, put some lipstick on it and flip it. Right? So I was doing all those things over the years. And then, like you said, James, 86, I was in Winnipeg. And I come home after the season and I get a phone call from Cal Murphy, who was the head coach at that time.
Right.
And said, hey, John Gregory, who was our offensive line coach in Winnipeg, just got the head coaching job in Saskatchewan. And he asked me permission to talk to you about coaching for him. Now, you always think about maybe getting to the coaching ranks, but like I said, I didn't want to be totally reliant on the game of football. If you get into coaching, now you are. you're dependent on the game.
They should do the pandemic.
What's that?
I was just talking about the pandemic. I'm sorry.
Okay. And so I said, well, Cal, you don't want me to play for you anymore. And he says, no, it's not that. It's just that these opportunities don't come up very often. And I suggest with the way you prepare for a game that you should try it. And so that's what I did. And that's how I got my first coaching job. And that's how I got into coaching. And then I was there for a year in Saskatchewan. I was out of football for 2 years. I helped out the University of Calgary here, Peter Cannellan. Mm-hmm. And then he became the head coach in Calgary. And I always had in my back of my mind that if an opportunity came, a coaching job in Calgary in the city, that I would try to get it. And so I called Wally to see if he'd be interested. He said, come on in for the interview. And then I got hired by Wally as his offensive coordinator. So very, very lucky, right place at the right time. And had a lot of good quarterbacks over the years to work with.
Walk through me the last portion of what your career is, because you're in Calgary there. So what happened with you went there to coach in Calgary first initially, right? Because you were in New York. When you left the Giants, what did you do? Did you come to Calgary after the Giants?
Was it Indianapolis? I thought it was Indianapolis.
After my NFL stuff.
Yes.
Well, how I got to the NFL was via arena football. All right.
Okay.
That got up to Coach Damon a little bit.
I didn't even know you did that.
Oh yeah. I did that because there's an opportunity to become a head coach. And
was Ricky Foggy your quarterback?
Who?
Ricky Foggy.
Quarterback in the arena?
Say the name again, David.
Ricky Foggy.
Ricky Foggy your quarterback in the arena?
Oh, yeah. Oh, what a fun.
Right. I know, fall dog.
Yeah. So anyway, I did that for 2 years, and then I'm sitting in my office, and I get a phone call from Chris Palmer, who just got the head coaching job in Cleveland, and he asked I could come out for an interview, and then Chris hired me to be a quarterback coach for the Cleveland Browns. That's how I got into the NFL.
I was wondering how that happened.
How Chris knew about me was Chris coached in Montreal for a year or two. And so he always followed the Canadian Football League a little bit once he went down to the NFL. So, very fortunate. I had a very nomadic NFL coaching career, but got an opportunity to learn from a lot of great coaches. Had a great opportunity of being able to coach a lot of great quarterbacks. So again, I was very pleased I didn't screw them up. And then I had got this opportunity to come to Calgary to be a head coach again, head coach, general manager. So that's my story. I loved every minute of it. It's been a journey, and like all of us, it's so pleasing to be able to be part of something that you really enjoy doing. You really enjoy getting your butt out of bed because you got to go get ready to play, get ready to win.
It's amazing.
I can't wait to hear.
It's amazing how this sport is so connected, the guys you guys have talked about, Tommy Clements being a good friend of yours, John. He was my quarterback coach my last 2 years in the NFL when I was in Kansas.
Wow.
And then you talk about Chris Palmer. Chris Palmer was our receiver coach when I was in Houston when we were running the run and shoot. He was a very, very good coach. Could have been our offensive coordinator. I had Kevin Gilbride was our offensive coordinator, but the two of them worked very well together.
Oh, it does, man. It's a small world when you look at it. I mean, it's just us three different generations, but at the same time, we work with the same people. And,
yeah.
I mean, down the road, to be telling, I might meet Chris, and down the road might be someone else, and before you know, it's like, yeah. But no,
I was hoping this turned out to be like this because I want to kind of like a generational conversation more than somebody on the same level, just to see what it looks like and how different it's become, or better or worse, whatever the case may be. So I'm gonna let you express yours, Damon, and I'm gonna let y'all go on from there.
You know, for me, it's growing up in the Allen household, parents always taught me to give back to community, and so that's always been an essence, a part of me and who I am. And so even though we were always taught that the sports that you play is the vehicle, and so yes, without football opened the doors and opportunities for me to present, but I never once ever wanted to think that football is all I am. More when you start to understand that and you put your priorities in perspective, then you realize that you're a father, you're a friend, it's a variety of different roles you have to play. And so I knew football was always a vehicle, but it will open doors for the things that you want to do and impact. And so I always had, like Warren, had that entrepreneurial spirit. And so when I finished playing the game, known I was ambassador for our league and some of the teams that I played for, but I started the Damon Allen Quarterback Academy. Through that, we have a football program that we're running now with another friend of mine, the Matrix. And then from there, I think deep down, you have that ability or that desire in a sense to be a coach. And so you stay on top of the game. So I've never, I still, to this day, since I retired, I watch every football game that's being played and watch it. And now you're coaching quarterbacks and you're really becoming and learning more details of the position. And so I think, coming into with COVID situations, so charity has always been a big component of who I am. Giving back to community has always been a big component that I am, who I am. And then now I think I'm making the necessary steps because of COVID and what's going on, and really get to look at what you want to do. And so this off season, I'm actually going to go into the Bill Walsh Diversity Coaching Fellowship this year. And experience that, and really looking to the experience in that, and having the ability to go to a training camp in the National Football League, because I think deep down I've always wanted to be a coach. I've always dabbled into it and still continue to learn, but I think I'm in that direction now that I want to go through that program and see where it takes me from there.
Hey, Huffer, I thought Damon should have been a coach a long time ago, man. He should have got opportunity. He only played in the league for like 40 years, man. You thought he could remember something like, So, but really, there should have been some opportunities over him. Like, I just don't understand that. I mean, shoot. I mean,
sometimes it's timing, right? It's timing, and maybe it was a situation. When you retire, you have to get into it right away, and some people believe that I took some time off, and too much time off to really know that if anyone realized that you wanted to be a coach. And so I think it's a different the way you look at it, because when I won the MOP at 41, 42 years old, and everybody asked me, well, you could have won in your prime. I said, well, there was many opportunities, but when I did win it, I mean, that really confirmed what I was doing in my prime and how competitive I was when I was able to win it at 41 and 42 years old, being the best player in the league. And so the timing is everything to me as well. So
I tell you what, if you played 23 years and you still wait for another 23 years to catch up with that time, then that's crazy, because I thought it should have been happening right away when you retired.
Absolutely, man. Like I said, there's politics and everything that you.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah, make the realness be real.
Right. There's politics, but at the same time, that doesn't discourage me, right? I still move on because I still have a desire to do the things that I want to do. So,
you know, we have a desire to seek certain things, and sometimes that do take time, and that's called destiny. But destiny requires that we continue to fight.
Just like Warren, sometimes, you know, they don't take you serious in Canada until you go and get a coaching job, and then, you know, then doors open. So
I would have asked a question like that too as well. I said, would y'all regret, any one of y'all, and y'all know the answer is already going to be no. Do you regret about anything that you did pertaining to this game, or would you do it over again? And the question already, yes, I would do it again. I mean, shucks. I mean, I'm my story sounds like a complete lie. I never played football until I went to college. And then when I went out the team, I got cut. Now, who does that?
Over there, TSU.
Yeah, Texas University, boy. But, man, I'm thank y'all for getting on. We could have stayed and we expressed some more stuff, though, but I'm just glad I got a chance to hang out with you guys, especially focusing on John Hufnagle now being a member of the, you know, the Hall of Fame. And I just think that's so grateful because we don't go into the game playing get into a Hall of Fame. We just go to win, you know, because we know that even if you go, it represents us as being an individual person, but it's always been a team effort when somebody goes in an organization like that. But I'll be y'all teammates forever. I mean, I know all of y'all personally, and I'm just really thankful for that because we weren't teammates at times. Me and John was a teammate at times, but I have relationships with people over and over again. I'm thankful for relationships. And this has been like many, many times that, you know, I've been in positions that I never thought would actually happen. But especially expressing the love that I have for all of y'all, because y'all know how I feel about y'all. I can't stand Warren, though. He be joining them people at times. But he has an incredible family that I still know about now. As a matter of fact, your daughters are like Instagram buddies with me and this and that, so I regularly see them.
Oh, really? Okay.
You know, so I love them immensely. But I don't see them physically, but I get a chance to see y'all physically now. So Damon is the person that I talk to the most.
Where's everybody living right now?
Yeah. I'm in Atlanta. I've been in Atlanta for the last 24 years.
In Atlanta, okay.
Yeah, when Damon left, I decided to come because Damon was here in Atlanta first.
Damon, are you back up in Canada?
Yes, I'm in Toronto now. I'm in Toronto, and like I said, you know, over the New Year's and, you know, I think the program you have to applies in March, and so I would like to go through that the Bill Walsh Diversity coaching program. So looking forward to that. But I'm in Toronto right now, and you know, plugging away.
John, where are you?
Up there. Hey, hold on, Hufford, like he need a coach too as well. He was sitting up there thinking about it right there when he put his head on his shoulder. He was just thinking about you.
John, where are you living?
Yeah, I'm still in Calgary.
Okay.
Right, and see, I always kept Calgary my home base when I was involved in the Canadian Football League, whether I was playing for Saskatchewan or Winnipeg. Calgary was my home base. So when I left for the 10 years and I got an opportunity to come back to the Canadian Football League, the fact that it was Calgary made it that much sweeter.
Yeah. That was a great idea you did that. You still up there by the mountains, right? Up the McLeod Trail?
But the stadium, McLeod Trail.
Yeah, no, where you live at. I think I know your house is if you go McLeod Trail and you go up there by the mountains, you can see up there where we should ride horses. But Calgary has changed a lot. I don't know if it looks the same.
Are you saying Calgary? Are you saying Calgary Trail?
Yes, Calgary.
But I live out in Cochrane now. You remember where that was, James? It's about 30 minutes north.
I know exactly where. That's another
new suburb. He lives in a new suburb.
Yeah, that's a new house. Calgary is beautiful, man.
James only knew downtown where the clubs were. That's the only area.
That apartment down there right around the corner.
You know, y'all crazy.
Hey, tell him to play the Wild Wild
Wild West.
Play the Wild Wild West song for me.
Oh, y'all crazy.
James used to go back up there for the Calgary Stampede just so he could put on his Wild Wild West outfit.
Hey, they named a bar after him.
They sure did.
That's right. Wild Wild West.
Dude, I was supposed to be able to respond to that quickly, but I couldn't get it.
No, it was really great that the CFL Alumni Association that's doing this. Talking to legends. Yeah, because I think
and they allowed me to do it. That's kind of cool. I never would have thought. There's a whole lot of things I never would have been. But, you know, I'm just very proud to be able to do this, man, to be able to just address you guys. Because sometimes people don't really want to tell, y'all don't get a chance to tell y'all stories. You know, you get inducted and then you say, oh, thank you, and blah, blah, blah. They give you 5 minutes to talk. And then that's pretty much it, but you don't tell the whole story. And I kind of want to pretty much present this as your whole story-ish thing. And I'll release it and I'll let y'all all know about when it's going to be released, and then y'all can recognize what was said here. If y'all want to say anything else as we close out, man, y'all go right on the head. I just thank you. I love you guys immensely. Y'all already know that, man. Once you're afraid
I do want to say, man, how incredible it is to, I mean, it's one thing, it's special to make it to a hall, but, you know, Moonshine, man, over there, he got 2 Hall of Fames in one sport. I mean, that's amazing. To be able to do it in the National Football League, do it in the Canadian Football League, I mean, that's unheard of, and, you know, that's what makes him special as well.
Well, I think the thing I like to say about the game itself, everybody loves game day. Everybody loves scoring touchdowns and the adulation. But the thing I miss most about the game is the relationships that you made during that time, whether it's teammates that you played with or guys like yourselves who I didn't necessarily play with, but have gotten to know over the years. And we have all these things in common because we went through a lot of the same type of downs, same type of battles, same type of adversity, all those different things. And that's something that nobody else can really identify with unless you've gone through what we've gone through as professional football players. So it's a special bond that we'll always have together. And it's something that I love about all the different places that I played with, all the different guys that I played with. Those relationships last forever. And if you were able to play on championship teams, those bonds are even that much closer. Because I know when I get together with my Edmonton guys, it's like we never parted with each other. We still speak the same language. It's amazing the connection that we still have with one another. So that's what I love about or miss most about the game is the relationships.
Yeah. Right. And James, I really want to thank you for including me in this group session today. Warren, it's great seeing you.
John.
And kudos to your foundations. I think that's great stuff.
Yes.
And that's what we should do when you have the opportunity. So, and Damon, best of luck into your coaching.
Thank you, buddy.
You're not going to get much sleep when you get in it, baby.
No, I hear the story. That's what I'm saying. I always want to ask guys. I don't want to hear the good things. I want to hear the challenging things. But you know, yes, absolutely.
It's going to be a little easier for Damon.
A lot of it has to do with who you work for. You know, some coaches that
absolutely
they want you to work all night, and then there's other coaches that want you to be home and be with your family at a certain time.
Right.
So you just got to pick. Really got to pick carefully who you work for.
Sure,
absolutely. I know what you mean. Well, you get one of them coaches at a gym rat. They live at the facility. Like, oh, they don't want to leave the house because they don't want to leave the office because the head coach is still here. So it's like, okay, I did my work.
Right.
And that's a hidden blessing and beauty of the Canadian.
That's right.
Is that you can only have the players for 4.5 hours, right?
Right.
So you get more opportunity to be home with your family for dinner. You get more opportunity to see your kids play their sports. You know, you're going to miss, but you're not missing it. Like thankfully, when I was in the NFL, my kids were grown. That's just all I'm going to say.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, my kids are grown too, so, you know.
Right. First of all, let me express this. You know, Damon, you know how much I care about you. You've been my buddy for like the longest. I mean, since the day I met you, we've been friends. And we haven't like missed a season when we have talked. You know, that's incredible because we never played against each other because everybody know our relationship in terms of us together. So we've been very fortunate enough to come to the last 4 Grey Cups together, at least maybe 5 for you. But for you, Warren, you're the best player I ever played against, man. I just, you know, it was a competition thing for us to even get a chance to touch you when you was playing the game because your offensive line was good. They really were. And when I told you I sacked you that particular time, you don't know, I felt like I had won the Grey Cup game when I sacked you. You looked at me like, dude, like, what's up? I thought that was funny. But anyway, I'll never forget that. And for you, Huff, and not only you or my teammate, man, I just think you're doing an amazing job there in Calgary. For anybody that's playing ahead of time where they want to finish at, I don't think everybody prepares for that. when the game is over with, and you left a home there, and you wind up being there. That's very beneficial to you. So
Yeah.
I just thank y'all all, man. I just love y'all immensely.
It just made my day.